All right.
All right, I'm gonna start screen sharing.
Ooh,
Can you
pretty
guys see?
slides. Pretty slides.
Okay, so official first chapter of Badass, Make Users Awesome. The challenge is to think badass. Um, this chapter is about the results of our UX designs. That's what the focus is, and it explains in the first page that we often focus on the experience while the product or service is in use. When we're developing it, designing it, but we rarely think about what happens. But then we forget to think about the afterwards. So that's what this chapter is about. And so Kathy presents us with some questions to ask. So what can users do now versus before using the product? What can they now show to others or say to others? And how are they more powerful than before? So, making them feel awesome, word of mouth comes into play. They're bursting to recommend the product after they use it. So, it goes right into like exercises. There was like, I think you could do like 4 in this chapter, but I did 2 of them. So this is like the first one. So imagine we're in like a documentary and you can follow your user around. It's like if we were The Office and you're one of the cameramen and you're following Dwight and he's using some kind of new trap or whatever, like for his beet farm. He's using the product, and then you can follow him afterwards. What does he do? What does he say? Yeah, and the book says you can do variations of this exercise for users at different levels, from first-time newbie to expert. So I just came up with some product examples on the right. When we're like doing these exercises, it's hard for me to like come up with a product on the spot to think about. So these are like some suggestions. So I went ahead and did it as an example. Will be the first example. So this is following an HRM subscriber. So this dude is on his computer and he logs onto Hedgeye, interacts with the tools, all the products that are included with HRM. After he does that, the user just looks more confident, and then goes and makes some trades, makes some adjustments, and then they go about their day, they get ready, they go for a jog, they do their morning routine, and they look, cool and unbothered, probably because the tools have helped ease their mind. They go to lunch with friends, and a fellow investor asks how they like their Hedgeye subscription that they grabbed during the cyber promo. And then they explain that the Hedgeye process, with some detail, because they're a power user, they know what it's all about. And their friends look impressed and then go on the website on their phones to check out the products. So this is an ideal scenario and an expert user, and going back to the whole testimonial thing, like how can we make the user feel awesome, so then they go and talk about it to their friends, and then their friends can also feel awesome. And they want to do that because they like their friends. And then this is another like thought exercise. Oh wait, sorry. Someone else should do this other than me.
Yeah. So
So
I'd like this paragraph. I think we should use this. And I have seen, like, I think without exactly doing, we're trying to do that, right? That was the whole point of Hitchhike University. Well, we're trying to help them use the product, not necessarily with as pinpointed, like, well, let's make them awesome so they tell their friends to be awesome and whatnot. But by the same measure, also, like our best, what do you call them? When the subscribers give you a compliment, you put in your website, what do they call it, recommendation or whatever. Our best ones are literally like, oh man, I got like in one trade, I got my 225 back, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the example. Now the problem I think that we've always had is which is part of the content coming up. Like, how do we make this jump? Like, for example, for me, I could get the subscription and still be going. I still don't. I'm still being the
Yeah.
suck zone.
Right.
And then for the guys that are already kind of good, like, oh yeah, this is awesome, and they tell us awesome stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Education is a big part, and like Rob and Matt have been like successful with just like their email, getting to know Hedgeye. This is our process. So even though someone like even a newbie can like understand, like I mean, if you're already an investor, you understand some of the lingo. If you're in the space, but the education materials really help you understand the Hedgeye process, and then you can go and talk about that. So that like that piece in itself can be like a product,
yeah.
like the education part.
So I think like if I were to expand on your thing, it's like okay, I like the whole I'm confident and unbothered. That's cool. Um, if we had in general more examples, well, I did this and I went to the RTA and I looked at this and then I went and looked at my portfolio, see what I'm holding, and then maybe I referenced something else that this gave me a signal for, or and we don't do that stock reports thing anymore. But it's like it.
Yeah, I also missed in this kind of scenario, like, this is kind of all in one morning. Like, he might not get results he wants right away. So, like, there may be like a few days after when, Keith made the right call on an RTA and this guy made money off it. So, yeah.
Right. It's some mixture of using our tools, and then sort of, and again to tease at what's coming up, bigger context. Our tool gives him a signal, and then he goes to whatever I can't think of E-Trade or whatever he uses to trade, and looks up something based on something we said, which is sort of like the bigger context. Like, look, I'm such a whiz. I never would have known that I should have researched this thing that's beyond our tool because our tool told him. Does that make
Yes.
sense? It's like, oh yeah, so then I jumped on my Bloomberg account because Hedgeye's article said blah 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 blah, and I wasn't clued in on that. And I checked that, and then I made this trade, and then now look at me, I got a Maserati now.
Yeah, something that wasn't in their field of view before.
Right.
Maybe tickers they weren't looking at. So
So
can anyone come up with non-Hedgeye examples?
yes, all those faceless voices. Anyone have a thing or something that you guys love? Otherwise, go to the previous page. Let me see what your examples are. If we can't come up with a product, we could use one of your product suggestions.
Man, these Tide Pods are amazing. I don't even have to think about laundry. By the end of the day, I did like 10 loads of laundry. My wife thinks I'm amazing.
That,
So,
that,
but like from a documentary film perspective, that would look like, oh, Brett's wife is yelling at him to do the laundry. So then he goes to do the laundry, and it only takes him like 5 minutes to throw everything in and throw the Tide Pod in, and then he's like walking away, reading a newspaper, getting coffee, doing whatever he needs to do.
right. That one's kind of funny because I don't really know where that could go. It's like, for example, for me for laundry, we put in so much. My mother-in-law's like, "Where do you do all this stuff?" Well, so we bring down the laundry, and then I add some TSP, and then some I get this Arm and Hammer smell stuff, and then I add the fabric softener, and then I add I count 30 seconds of my Tide, not a pod, but the liquid. But even that is still with the force stuff I throw in, it's still like a minute. So I can't imagine.
It could be
I saved 30 seconds by putting this one pod in instead of the four chemicals I pour down the thing.
it could be an overuse thing. So, oh man, I went through a whole thing of laundry detergent in like a week. My wife is gonna kill me. I overused it. I used that Tide Pod though. Woof, same amount every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would possibly look at one of the other one. It just looks like you can't be that badass at laundry. I mean,
Oh man, this engine for my boat, it's like 225 horsepower. I'd go like 45 knots. I don't even know how it's legal, but my friends love it.
look at there. Headphones. Voice assistant might be cool. I mean, if we change that into Alexa, that's something you can show off. You come to my house, I turn on the lights, I turn on the TV, I jump to ESPN, show me the game from last week, and you go, dude, I only play music on my Alexa. Oh, watch this. Sits in the chair, give me a massage, and the massage chair turns on, and it's like, come on. And then I like activate my little RD8 robot with a beer on it, say, RD8, bring me a beer. Right in the commercial and actually that's something that sells. You go to someone's house and he's that tricked out on Alexa, and you realize you only do music, or actually you bought it because your friends and you haven't plugged it in even. That's one I think fits this example well. Like, yeah, I'm doing all these things, and oh my god, I didn't know you could do this. I'm speaking of laundry. I'm taking my laundry and walk upstairs. It's all dark. Alexa, turn on the hallway light.
Yep.
You know, and stuff like that. That's something where I go. That's of all these things. That's something where I go. Oh, you can be like I'm probably level 3 on the 10 level Alexa badassness, but
Yeah.
I would like to be 7 or 8. I think the problem is some of these things I just don't use. I don't use a Nest because Grandma doesn't like for us to have heat or be comfortable. So no point in that one. I considered doing a garage door opener, but then I'm afraid someone will hack it. But in general, okay. I think anyone want to weigh in? All right, let's move on.
Okay. Next. All right, so that's another fun exercise. Just another reminder to, expand your perspective when you're designing. They're using a dinner party example where, when our user goes to a dinner party, think about how their family looks at them, think about how their friends look at them, what is their perception of our user, and how can we make them badass at a dinner party. Yeah. So, yes, and this is another exercise she recommends to do. So it's a search and replace. And when we're looking at problems to solve, marketing or brand problems, try replacing our brand with our users, or in this case, for my questions, we with our users. So she has a bunch of questions in the book, but I kind of made mine a little different, and I only picked 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how can we get more followers? Instead of asking how your brand can get more followers, you can ask, how can our users get more followers? And how can we innovate our product? Instead of asking that, how can our users innovate their process? Instead of asking how we can promote our product and sell more, you can ask how our users promote themselves and their work. So it's shifting, the perspective again, like from just solely thinking about your brand, but like really. So it's a comparison exercise. It's like our users versus our competitors' users. So it's like imagining an ad and how I saw it was like there's a split screen of an awesome product versus like a bad product, aka the competitor product. So yeah, you describe or sketch an imaginary ad that shows your users outperforming your competition's users at the bigger context. So again, their experience, their results. So for this one, I used Procreate app and the Photoshop app. I have experience with both. So for the Procreate app, which is the winning app, these users jump right into an intuitive tool and draw/design with dozens of built-in brushes. They can export video time-lapse of their work from the app and show their process on social media along with the finished art piece. And that's like on the side, like one side of the split screen, and then on the other side, the Photoshop app, which is new, like for iPad. I think they launched it recently. So these users have to screen record their iPad whenever they use the tool to show their process. They have 0 color grading options, limited brushes, and bare bones functionality. They get frustrated and go back to mindless social media scrolling. So you can see how like there's a whole creation versus consumption like dynamic between these two. So in the Procreate app, you're actually setting out to do something, and then you actually do it, you make it, and you put it out into the world. And in the Photoshop app, you're just like, the tool is so frustrating that you don't get to the result that you want, and you just end up consuming instead of creating.
Yes.
At this point, Alexis will tell us that he has a stakeholder in the program.
Yeah. Everyone, buy Procreate app. It's the best.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, this reminds me, the as seen on TV things are like this. Like the, what is thing? They got like a gizmo that lets you make like veggie noodles. And this is our tool. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of vegetables. And then here's my my low carb veggie spaghetti thing. And then here's some other guy, and this guy is trying to get stuff in, and he can't get it. Oh, he cut his finger on the thing, and the big like circle with the line through it. So that sort of competitor thing. I feel like that's a really strong part of like those as seen on TV commercial things. So for me, I'll go with the Alexa app, where you could show the guy with his house of the future, like I was describing in the last one, and then I haven't given Google Home a try in a few years, but I definitely had a much harder time getting my lights set up and less flexibility. So I would show it. If I were to do the screenshot, I would show, okay, so I've got this, and I can just ask, I can do timers and turn some of my lights on with the Google Home. But I think for the Alexa side, not only would I have this home, I would show how awesome I was entertaining people, and people go, "My God, how did you set all this stuff up?" So yeah, it took a little bit of time, but really, you can do these 27 things. So I got to get the Philips Hue, and then I got to get the Logitech remote thing, which I have, but unfortunately Cox cable sucks and I can't control the cable box with it very well. But that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that even reminds me of like the iPhone, or no, they were Samsung ads, and they were making fun of iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
The Genius ads. Has anyone seen those?
Yeah, I sort of remember.
I'll post it in post, but those are funny because they're basically like throwing shade at Apple for not having. It was when they first removed like the headphone jack, and then like they don't have a place, like you can't really store your stuff. They make you do it all in iCloud. You can't expand your storage. Blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
just like that was like a comparison type of ad too.
Yeah, no, that one of those Samsungs is great because he has this dude, and he's got the tri dongle so he can charge and look at his headphones. He's got this octopus coming out of his phone, and he looks at his girlfriend with her Samsungs, and she just plugs it right in. And I go, oh, that's my life now. Where it's like, God dang it, I lost another dongle. I hate it. Oh, I'm on the street. Oh, well, you can't go in the dollar store and pick up a $1 headphone. You gotta go. Diego, do an example. You're creative.
The only thing I could think about was like you said, like those like I seen on TV. Like the person that falls on the floor. And like,
Life alert.
Life alert.
Life alert could be funny. You have some guy falls down and dies.
Like a lot of those things. Like I'm thinking like oh, the people like I give it probably like a dial in the phone number because like a button are too small, and then you see like a guy that like the exaggerated one. I think I always find funny. But like I don't know if you guys have seen those, like when the people like act like they've never seen a phone or never seen a door, and like just cannot open it. I feel like your Photoshop app, although like probably is more accurate. Like when you go like a mindless social media scrolling, it felt kind of like that kind of comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm trying to think of like. Yeah, no, like those are the examples that pop in my head. I'm trying to think of a better one, but I can't at the moment.
Yeah. So I think when I look at these exercises, if you actually read ahead and then you come back, I sort of see where she's trying to point you. Whereas the normal flow of this is you read, you do the exercise, and then she tells you, "Oh, you should have done this." You go, "Oh, I should have done that," and I think that fits. Like I already know the answer to what these things are pointing to, which I kind of leaked a little bit. So I won't. I
Yeah,
won't. I won't.
I haven't read that far into it, but yeah, it makes sense like how she starts off with the results that you might want.
Like it
Um,
was sort of remember the trick question one. We gave you three, and you tried to pick one, and you think about this, and then it goes, no, the answer is D, the one I didn't give you. Which
eh,
then, if you went to study group, you know when the pop quiz comes up what the real answer is. But I think the shock of, oh, yeah, I should have done that. The whole popping yourself in the head, as a learning motif. So it's like when I come and see this second time around, I kind of know the answer.
I mean, pulling from the, and I can't remember the brand. Maybe it was a Honda, maybe not. Like from the other book, like a typical example would be the people like the foot under the what's it, back door of the car,
Mm-hmm.
like to wake up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's it called? The door in the back in the
Trunk,
car.
the trunk
Yeah,
door. Yeah.
yeah. To open the trunk,
Mm-hmm.
like there will be like one of those like our users, their user. In one, you can hold the boxes, use your foot. The thing opens, you put the stuff in. Uh, Especially like in the moment like it's raining and the floor is wet. And in the other case, like you have to actually put the stuff down on the floor where it's wet, and then do it manually.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah.
something else. Grab
It's just
your keys.
This makes me think of those like old infomercial ads where somebody's trying to get something off the high shelf and everything's gray, and then it shows like in full color somebody with the device to reach the high shelf. Something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
So I think the key for this exercise is the last part of the sentence. Outperforming your competition's users at the bigger context. So it's not just that I'm better, and trunk opening is less of a bigger context. It's like for Procreate, I might like have suddenly I got this job now, and people love my stuff so much, and I'm now designer of the year. So the bigger context, not just the wow, I could make this screenshot. I said no, my screenshots are so good. I don't know what awards they give designers, but one of those things,
mhm.
the Oscars for Designers Award, whatever that would be,
There's like Webby Awards for digital design. There's I don't know.
right?
There's
And
a
that's the bigger context. Like if it's programming, if you got like Hacker of the Year from Wired magazine or something, or there's something that oh wow, this really he just didn't. He's not just able to code conveniently. He's a really good coder. Okay.
yeah, it's results on results on results. Yeah, we already touched on other examples. And then the last part of this chapter is like how, if you're a new product or service, how can you get users? Obviously, we need users in order to make users awesome or badass. If the product or service is new, Kathy suggests, how, like, trying to pick out, like, a potential influencer from your target audience. So, research and identify your target audience and identify some key people in that, who would really benefit from your product, who would want to, shout it out from the rooftops, how awesome it is. Yeah, just a little note on how to get some users. So later in the book, she explains, we'll touch on helping users recognize that they're getting noticeably better. So, users do get better, but they might not realize it along the way, so you have to help them notice it. And then let word of mouth be natural side effects. They're much more badass and awesome than before. And that was really it. It was a short chapter. So these are just my closing thoughts. We often have tunnel vision. Everyone knows this when designing products and services, especially when getting into the weeds / technical nitty gritty. This chapter helps us look ahead